Good day, everybody. Welcome to Canadian music in the 80s and 90s and more. The A part making it Canadian. I hope you like what you see. If you do, please subscribe and click a like button. I'm very glad to be joined right now by Hamilton's own Terra Lightfoot. Thanks for joining me today.
Hey, good day, eh?
Yeah, that's
I don't
awesome.
normally get to say that. Just right off the cuff. Good day, eh?
That shows you're Canadian right away. You come from a long line of great Canadian or Hamilton artists too, and Canadian artists for that matter.
Yeah,
I mean, some of my favorite artists have come from Hamilton. Ian Thomas, Blackie, or Tom Wilson,
yeah.
um, and some of the best music has been recorded there. I mean, oh, Daniel Lanois. How can you not mention Daniel Lanois? I'm
Old
just,
Danny.
yeah, one of the guest producers and artists for that matter. It's yeah, Hamilton's a hot spot for me. I've always found it a great place for music. If you haven't hung out in Hess Village, then you don't know what you're missing.
Exactly. Yeah, there's a
Um,
lot. I mean, Teenage Head, lest we forget, Miss Rita Shirelli, she's another good one.
and one of
Uh,
my all-time favorites, the Killjoys. Don't forget the Killjoys.
oh, can't forget them. I know there's so many people. And like the Trues also, we were talking about them earlier.
Yeah,
They mostly live in Hamilton now.
formerly from the Maritimes, where I am now.
Right?
But
Truro, right? Is that true?
it
Are they
is
from
true.
Truro?
I thought they were from Cape Breton, but I'm not 100% sure. They're from
The
Nova
Trues
Scotia
from
for sure.
Truro makes sense though, right?
Oh, it's a marketing. It, you've already done their marketing for them.
Like, come on.
Yeah. And you played with the Trues quite a bit, haven't you? You're quite good
Quite a
friends.
bit. Yeah, over the years. Yeah, they're great friends. They've always been
Because that's where I
very good
recall
to me.
seeing you the first time. I saw you playing with them you sang with them at the Hamilton Public Library, and they did an acoustic show, and it was really good.
That top floor, it's like if you're in the main floor of that library,
Yeah,
it's this big atrium, but then the stairwell is open air and you go all the way up to the fourth floor where that show was.
yeah,
And hearing the show from the first floor is amazing. It's just like the acoustics in there are so good, as you know.
yeah.
Um,
Oh,
but that was my favorite part was just hearing the music reverberating around all those books.
yeah. It is pretty incredible. It was just
Yeah,
the seating. I thought it was funny that we were all sitting around the stage, which was really kind of cool.
yeah,
But
a circle. Yeah, I haven't
yeah,
done. Felt almost like a boxing match or something.
yeah. Like I've been to songwriters circles, and it literally was a songwriter circle, but it was
Yeah,
actually Ian Thomas was in one of them that I saw. But it
yeah,
was kind of interesting.
yeah,
But I guess he's done a lot for Hamilton too. So,
absolutely. Yeah,
um, would they be a lot of influence on you, like the Hamilton artists? That it give you the
sure. Like I've run into Ian Thomas. There used to be a thing, of course, now it's long defunct, called the Hamilton Music Awards.
hmm
And that's like, I remember shaking Colin Linden's hand for the first time at the Hamilton Music Awards. My old band Dinner Bells was playing, and maybe I was playing too. I can't remember. But yeah, Ian Thomas. It was like tons of folks were there, and Gordy Lewis.
hmm
Rest in peace. All the whole crew. Tommy Swick. There's a bunch of Steve Strongman's from Hamilton.
right.
Gosh, the list goes on.
Oh, it's amazing. I've always thought Hamilton was a great city for music, just absolutely amazing place for
Yeah,
music. Like
yeah, yeah.
I've seen some of my favorite concerts in Hamilton. Grey Cup Festival in '96. I saw a lot of great stuff there.
Whoa, who was playing that?
Spirit of the West,
Love it.
the Killjoys, and the Leahy family all on one bill.
The who are the Leahy family?
The fiddle playing family from out
Oh,
near
okay.
Peterborough. I don't know if you've
Oh,
heard of
okay.
them or not. The one guy's married to Natalie McMaster, who you might have heard of.
Checks out. Fiddlers.
Yep.
I
So
love it.
it was a very eclectic show that night.
That's so cool.
But anyway, do you mind if we go back to see where did you start playing music? Like when did you first get interested in playing?
I mean, music, and I only realized this after I started doing it as my career. But music for me is in my family. I have two relatives who are professional musicians. My grandma on my
Mhm.
mom's side, and then my great aunt on my dad's side.
Okay.
And my great aunt was a guitar player. She played a Telecaster
Oh,
in
nice.
a 70s country band. So cool. She played with Norma Gale, who's from out east,
Really?
actually.
Okay,
She's
cool.
a she's a legend. I wrote a song about her. Um, but yeah, so for me, it was like, oh yeah, you could do music. I mean, it seemed when I was a kid, of course, it was something I always wanted to do. So I played, oh man, I played every day after school. I played my guitar for hours and hours.
Yeah, when did you start writing?
Probably when I was around, honestly, 10 or 11, I started writing silly
Really?
little songs. Yeah. I had a really great music teacher, Mr. Stewart at Flamborough Center. Um,
Awesome.
yeah, and he was great. He showed us, on lunch, he used to the lunch recess, he used to say, if you guys want to hang in, I've got Help by the Beatles and we can watch it. Like
Oh,
to all
nice.
the kids in the concert band or whatever. So the rhythm section, and I was part of the rhythm section for the band, we would all sit together and watch these Beatles movies or Elvis or something,
Right.
some cool old stuff. Um, and so that was really exciting for me, but that was when I started getting inspired and thinking, oh yeah, why don't we write a song?
Were the
Um,
Beatles one of your early influ who were some of your early influences? Like,
yeah. David Wilcox is a big one because it's
okay.
the only thing my parents ever listened to. Like they didn't
That's
listen to any music in the house, so it was like when I was a kid, it was like Do the Bear Cat by David Wilcox. That
right.
was what my mom would put on, and I'd love it. And then the only other thing I got was my Suzuki piano lessons, the tapes from that. That was the other thing we heard in my house.
Really.
But quite generally, it was like no music, which
Really.
is strange. But it wasn't like it just was, we were just living.
Dave,
Some families, of course, I'm jealous of people who had this whole upbringing where their parents are showing them records. And I didn't have that. I had other opportunities. My mom took me to pick strawberries or make jam or, like
right.
cool stuff, just not music.
Trust me, I got sucked into that too when I was a kid.
Jam making or music?
Picking strawberries to make jam, which I hated
Mhm.
every minute of, but you
Right.
probably know what that was all about too. But and there was a lot of good places around Flamborough to do that too. I remember a couple of spots we used to go. Um,
Yeah. Well, so
and
my family's roots run deep on Snake Road in Waterdown, like in
oh wow,
1920s, I think. I'm a part of the Ontario Rankin family, which
oh
has
really?
nothing to do with the
Ooh,
Out
with
East
East Coast.
family.
Okay,
Yeah, but like a lot of the farmland there was owned by my family. Some of them still have land there. But that's what we came from. So we were like farm people. We weren't really anything else. And then my grandma kind of broke the mold and said, I'm gonna go play piano for my job. That's what she really wanted. And she made it happen, man. She had 7 kids and still had this whole career playing piano, which I find wild, you know?
did you hear her play a lot growing up?
A ton. Yeah, I was so lucky.
Yeah,
I had her until I was, I think, 20, maybe. She was alive until I was 20.
right.
And so, but my musical language didn't become sophisticated enough to play with her. The style of music that she liked was honky tonk, like
Yeah,
old time piano. She had this beautiful left hand. It was like unlike anything I had ever heard, but I didn't start playing country until I was in my 20s.
really.
So I kind of missed the boat with her. I remember she'd always be trying to teach me stuff and we'd try to jam and I'd miss the changes. I just didn't understand. I didn't understand fiddle music. I was kind of I was in my rock, Beatles, Simon and Garfunkel,
Right.
you know. I was not with the 145 yet.
No, no, but I mean, yeah, that's the thing when you grow. That's what I've heard some artists I've interviewed actually told me. When you grow older, you start discovering more music. When if if you've started playing music at a younger age, you really do start discovering more, and you're like, I should have
Yeah.
paid more attention to that when I was younger. But um,
Yeah.
so, and then it eventually starts influencing. And where were your first professional music start? Like
Uh, Hamilton.
Hamilton, the
Yes, my
Hammer.
first gig ever. Well, I don't know if that's true. I played the American House in Waterdown. That was maybe my first like
I know it well.
gig with the band. Yeah.
Yeah,
We opened for my dad or my drummer's dad's band. And I think there was a member of the band Crowbar at that show,
really.
or Crowbar was playing. I don't remember, or 14-year-old me doesn't know. Um, but it was wicked. I remember we were so stressed out. We played 4 songs and but then when I got older, I started playing covers in bars and getting paid. I remember that like it was yesterday. I was in university and I played Jays on the Mountain, which I don't know if it's still there, but it was a little rough and tumble and I had to, you know, argue to get paid
Yeah, I
a
can
little
find
bit.
out. I have some friends that probably remember that place. That's how old I am. But
Yeah.
um,
Yeah.
it might still be around. I don't even know. The building probably is. I don't know. Who knows?
Tom Wilson would know.
Tom Wilson would definitely know.
He would know.
So you must have been a real fan of the Festival of Friends growing up as well, too.
Hmm. I used to play the new music stage, which was booked by the guy. I'm just like telling old ghost stories here. It's so
That's
funny.
okay. That's what I like to hear.
The venue where I kind of cut my teeth as a young, when I was in university was the Pepperjack Cafe,
Okay.
which was down on King William Street. And the guy, Ken Inouye, who booked that bar, who's still very much with us and I think still very much booking shows, he also booked a stage at It's Your Festival. It was the little forest stage off to the side, nobody
Okay.
really
Yeah.
forget. Maybe it was called the New Music Stage, but I played there quite a bit and I loved it.
Yeah. That was. I think that was one of the best Hamilton events
Yeah.
on a yearly state. Anyway, next to the
Yeah.
Cactus Festival in Dundas.
Oh yeah.
I'm sure you
Yeah.
remember that one well too.
I do. Yeah, I remember we opened for Sloan. That was my first time getting to open for Sloan at the Cactus Fest.
Wow. Yeah,
Yeah.
I was reading some of the people you've actually played with and opened with, and I guess the
Hmm.
big one would be you opened for Willie Nelson.
That's a big one. Yeah, that happened in 2018. Yes.
And were you nervous? Did you get to meet him for one?
Did not meet him, but after the show, it was at the Bud stage. And after the show, I think everybody was loading out and he was walking to the bus. And I happened to be at the side of the stage. Like there was a bunch of roadies
Yeah.
in like crew people in red shirts. And I was not wearing red. And I probably was the only woman. So he just looked up and said, "Hello." That was my Willie Nelson moment.
That still must be a really honor to open for someone of that stature, because I mean, he stretches not just, I like him because he's been creative in more than just country music. Like he's dabbled in everything and respected by every genre of music out there.
Yeah. I think like, I think it was a video of him and his sons by the campfire, and they were, the when you hear them, just the songs on an acoustic guitar, it's jazz.
Yeah.
That's
Yep.
what I hear. I'm like, whoa. He was, I like his story too. I don't know if you've read his book, but
I haven't, but I probably
oh,
should. I know.
it'll make you laugh. I don't know if
Um,
it'll make you cry, just make you laugh.
I just remember hearing that he actually saw Stompin' Tom at the Horseshoe back in the 70s and was quite impressed.
Oh, really?
That's a story that I heard. And well, I know Waylon Jennings used to play there back in the 70s when Tom was around, and I think they knew each other. But
Wow.
yeah, I read a story that Willie Nelson was in the Horseshoe watching Stompin' Tom in his younger days and said he was like, wow, he's really good.
That's so
So
cool.
it amazes me that some of these American artists even knew who he was, but that's pretty impressive. Um,
Yeah.
he's always been a big influence on my life. But you also played with Blue Rodeo, Bruce Coburn,
Yes. A
and
lot of shows with both of those people, both
Blue
of those
Rodeo always
artists.
strikes me as a band that's always big music fans for starters, and I've always liked the way every time I've seen them, they invite their opening act out to jam with them.
Yes, they were the first. I mean, White Horse brought me on tour,
Hmm.
but Blue Rodeo was the first band to ever bring me on an arena tour.
Right.
And Glenn plays in our band now, which is very funny. He plays the drums.
Yeah. Blue Rodeo's drummer. Yeah.
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 I remember on that tour, like this was 2015, they had me open their Cross Canada tour. Um, and I remember Glenn said, "If you ever need a drummer," and I thought he must be joking.
Yeah.
And then the time came where we did need one, and he said, "Great." And that was it, you know. But those guys are so like Greg and Jim have been my biggest advocates for so many years. You know, it's going on 10 years. I'm actually singing at the Canadian Songwriters Hall of Fame, their induction. They're being
Oh,
inducted
wow.
on September 28th at Massey Hall. And I'm one of the people that they selected to help celebrate them, which is, it reaches such a deep place in my heart.
Hmm.
You know, I have so much gratitude for them, not just as like legends of the Canadian music industry or whatever you want to say. Like their
Yeah.
songs are beautiful and timeless, and both of them are such strong writers, but they're
Yeah.
also on their own track.
Yeah.
And yeah, I mean they've just advocated for me constantly for the past 9 years. There's a
And
song.
they've
Go
done that
ahead.
for a lot of artists too. Like they do
Yeah.
that for a lot of artists, which I've really liked about them because they've turned me on to a lot of artists as
Yeah.
well. And they really are like that. Like they turned me on to Luke Doucette and his wife. Because I saw them open for,
Whitehorse.
yeah, Whitehorse.
Yeah, they're great friends.
I saw them open for Blue Rodeo once, and I was totally blown away. And I'm like, I went to the merch stand and bought like three of their CDs right away.
Yeah,
um,
they're amazing.
and Joel Plaskett I saw open for them once, and just it's amazing who opens for them. And like I said, I love the way they invite them on stage at the end to jam. And I think that's great because I mean, so, like you said, you didn't really get a chance to meet Willie Nelson when you opened for them, but Blue Rodeo
Mhm.
is the opposite of that.
Yes, they're very humble
Yeah.
guys.
I also read, did you open for Toad the Wet Sprocket?
Yes, and I think that was around, it was pre-pandemic, but we opened a bunch of shows for them, I think in 2019, 2018. Yeah, all across the States. We had a great time with those guys. They're super nice.
Yeah, great band too. I think they're one of the more underrated bands that came out of the late 80s and early 90s. I think they wrote some of my favorite music back then too.
Yeah.
So it must have been cool to tour with them. But speaking of tours, you got one starting up pretty soon because you're coming to my neck of the woods. You're coming to
Starting
Prince
right
Edward
up.
Island.
Yep.
You're coming to the bright red mud,
Yep. Is it muddy or is it sandy? I want to go for a swim.
depending where you go, and if it rained.
We need the
Uh,
48-hour forecast. I'm there till Sunday.
well, the PEI weather is similar to most Canadian weather. If you don't like the weather now, wait 5 minutes. Uh,
Right, right.
so, but yeah, no, it's a nice time of year. We've actually still fairly warm. It hasn't been cold or anything like that. So, and I think
Great.
the weather looks pretty good for this weekend. Fingers crossed.
Awesome.
But it's a great venue. They have a big country show up there every year, up in Cavendish. It's the tourist area of the island, so
Right.
you're gonna get to see that. And I think they've kept a lot of it open because of this festival that's booked for this weekend. So
Mm.
it's looking like it's going to be a really amazing weekend. And I'm looking forward to your show. Actually, I can't wait to see you play. Um,
That's awesome.
but is this your first time to PEI, or have you been here before?
I've been there a couple times. I came out before the pandemic, and then I think I want to say 2021 I came out with the Sheepdogs.
Okay.
I played one show on PEI, and
Oh, the
then I always
PEI
say,
Brewing Company.
is
Was
it
that?
wrong to say on PEI or do you say in?
I think either way is fine.
Either way is fine. I
Now,
often,
now that there's a bridge, I guess you could say on.
right? Um, yeah, so I came out with the Sheepdogs, but I haven't been back since then. So,
I think that was the PEI Brewing Company you played with them.
yeah,
Yeah,
yep.
because I
But you know
remember.
what? It was the band. I didn't come out solo. Remember,
Yeah,
the boys were with me now. I remember.
yeah. Oh,
Yeah,
okay. Yeah. So
yeah.
yes. Have you done a lot of maritime shows other than the with the sheepdogs?
Yeah, I mean, it's funny because I had this whole maritime tour booked in 2020.
Oh
Like
no.
that was like my March 2020 was like, you're going to Halifax and all these
Yeah.
different towns like St. John and all this stuff. I've never actually been to Newfoundland still as a tourist or a performer.
Okay.
So that's on my bucket list, but I've played everywhere else. And
Um, and I'm looking at some of the dates here.
mhm.
Um, and you're going Pelham, Ontario, down in the
Pelham,
Niagara.
Ontario. That's
Yep.
right near the homeland of Waterdown.
Yes, it
Not
is.
too
That's
far.
between there and Niagara Falls, I believe.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yep, I knew it well. It's a beautiful town. And then you're heading out west in October. You're heading out to
Hmm.
Winnipeg, Regina, BC. That's do you head out there much? Have you been out there much to play? Other than
Yeah,
oh with Blue Rodeo, I guess.
yeah, and then lots of times since, and I think, we're playing. I don't think we're doing Saskatoon this time. That's the only thing that's off the list that I love, and we love to play Saskatoon. But we're going all the way to Vancouver. I think maybe even Victoria. So it's kind of coast to coast, really. September
Yeah, kind
14th, I'll be in on PEI, on
yeah.
PEI.
On
And
yeah.
then October 19th, I end in Alberta, but I'll have hit Vancouver on that tour.
That's
It's
awesome.
kind of
And it
crazy.
is it still promoting healing power?
Yes, yeah. And we've got a new track coming out, I think October 7th. We have an acoustic version of one of the songs, one of the thesis songs from that record called Out of Time. So that's going to be out in about 2 weeks.
That leads to my next question. Is there plans for new have you got new stuff prepared to come out in the next year or two?
Oh yeah. The year I love that time frame. That's such a relaxing time frame. In the
Yeah.
next year or two. I tend to put out records every 3 years, but I think at this point I'm gonna be a little bit faster, only because I'm feeling creatively juiced, I would say. Yeah, the band that I have right now is the greatest it's been. Obviously, you hope that when you're on a
Yeah,
musical journey with people, you hope that it gets better and better. And
yeah.
I definitely feel like we're at our best place, and together as a band. And so we've been demoing at Jimmy Boskill's studio. He's
Oh,
awesome.
cool. That's
Yeah.
amazing. Yeah.
Yeah. So we went in just last week. We went in for 3 days and worked out like 13 songs, and it's feeling really good. And we're just gonna keep plugging away and get something going. But it feels so good to just record as a live band, because often on records these days you end up tracking drums, and then you
Yeah.
track the bass, and then you track the keyboards, and then you track the guitar, and then you track the vocal, and it takes so long and it's so laborious.
Yeah.
Even though it's like, of course, I've had great results from records like that, and I like doing them that way, but I also am really digging the vibe of just everyone playing together, uh, and feeling that energy that we all kind of look for. I mean, that's what we look for when we listen to a record, right?
Sure. Yeah.
You want the music to take you away, to take you to another place, and that's what is happening for
So
us.
is that your preference for recording? You like recording with the band together? Trying to think, because I
I
know that with all the different ways of recording now, where you can just send files back and forth, which
Yeah.
works, but I can't imagine it's better than getting the band together and playing together in a studio.
Yeah, it's almost like what I'm playing for when we are in the studio and tracking together. I'm playing for that, like the fifth member of the band, which is the vibe,
Right.
the feeling, the energy. That is the thing that's not always there. I mean, even if you play the same songs every night in the same order, sometimes that extra band member shows up and it's like the vibe is there, like you feel good, everybody feels something, you're kind of reaching, you're
Right.
connecting with the other people in the band and the
Yeah.
audience, and they're connecting with you, and it's like so beautiful. And then the next night,
Yeah.
that extra band member doesn't show up, and you're like, okay. It's
Yeah.
not always,
Sure.
and but it's a beautiful, beautiful thing, and that's what I'm trying to capture on the recording, because that's what we hear when we play live. People are like, "Oh, you're such a great live band," and like,
Yeah.
but we just haven't really made that uh, sound on a record yet. So I'm looking
Where
forward to that.
where do you like to record? Is there specific studios you like to go to, or is it somebody's house or something like that? Or
Yeah, honestly, I mean, I love the vibe of everybody staying together. So Jimmy Boskill's studio has been great for that.
yeah.
We demoed for Healing Power at Jimmy's studio as well,
Okay.
but he's got a new space and you can sleep upstairs.
Oh,
So it's
awesome.
everybody gets a bedroom. It's very it's kind of like the Bathhouse, the Tragically Hip
Oh, the
recording
bat.
studio.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
It's a little bit like that, where you record downstairs and then you can go upstairs and sleep.
Oh, that's very cool.
Yeah, and it's super chill, and I like that vibe. You know, I've never liked the studios that are, you know, you walk in and everything's shiny and everything's new and everything's
Sure.
perfect. But Jukasa, actually, the place where I've made a bunch of my previous records, that's on the Six Nations Reserve, and
Yeah.
just outside Hamilton, and that place is great. Even though it's sort of new, you still catch a vibe in there. It's a really great studio too.
Um, anyway, the album that got me hooked was New Mistakes. I've
That
been
was at Jukasa.
and you were nominated for Juno for that,
Yes. Yep.
which is must have been exciting. I personally thought it should have won, but uh,
Thanks.
uh, but what an awesome record. Like, I mean, just when I hear the song Paradise, it just like sends chills up my spine. Such a great song.
Oh.
Um, and can't wait to hear you play it live. Do you like playing these festivals like Sommo Fest? I'm assuming you played quite a few of them over the years.
Quite a few. I mean, we've never played Sommo though. I don't think I've ever done a festival on PEI, so I'm looking forward to that. And I think you know, it'll be really cool. We're playing right next to Danko Jones, who I've never seen, but I've always wondered about. And I
Hmm.
know his drummer Rich quite well, so I'm excited to see Rich.
They are one of the most rocking bands you'll ever see live. I'll say that much.
We love rock and roll. So for us it's going to be exciting because there's not that many rock bands anymore.
It doesn't
But
seem
at
to be, does it?
Summerfest,
Yeah.
it's all rock bands all day.
Yeah,
So
it seems pretty cool. Yeah, like I've seen them in Toronto and they're just such a what you hear on record doesn't even come close to the energy they have live.
yeah.
Like it's just incredible. So you do have time to stick around for that, right?
Oh yeah, yeah, we'll be there. Yeah, we fly
Oh,
out the next day.
cool.
Yeah.
Oh, that's awesome. Anyway, it's great to see it coming to PEI for start. I mean, this festival is new. This is only the second year they've done this festival.
Really?
Last year they had Mumford and Sons, the big headliners, and it
Wow.
went off really well without a hitch. But this year they're doing it at a different weekend.
Okay.
They have a big country festival here every year, which they've done for well over 10 years.
Right.
But last year's Sommo was the weekend after
Right.
the big country festival, and it went well. But this is the year they're doing it on a different weekend, like, and I think it's great because they're doing it in the fall. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
and kind of extending the tourist season, which is kind of nice because usually Labor Day weekend everything shuts down for the year, but it's nice to see
Yeah.
everything open for a few more weeks, and
Yeah.
because Cavendish turns into a ghost town pretty much after Labor Day.
A lot of
So
places do. Yeah.
so it's nice to see that this festival, I hope it does well. It seems to be, and it's I'm always curious to see who's going to come next year and the year after and stuff like that. So those are the best times. It's just like we were talking about Festival and Friends. I always loved waiting to see who was coming to that every year because I've seen some of the greatest Canadian bands there.
Yep.
Uh, and
My old country band got to open for David Wilcox.
very cool.
Yeah, at the band shell. I remember it was the best night of my life because I love David Wilcox.
Yeah, I've seen them a few times too. We used to go to a lot of festivals. I don't know if you've heard of some of them around the Southern Ontario. I grew up in Mississauga, so
Mm.
I was very familiar with Chuck Jackson's Southside Shuffle.
Oh,
I don't.
have not partaken.
Jim Cuddy played there this year, which was pretty cool. His solo band.
That's super
Um,
cool.
and there used to be one that started up again this year, which a lot of them went down after COVID. But the Kerr Street Festival in Oakville.
Oh,
Um,
nice.
I've seen David Wilcox there as well, and I've seen Teenage Head there actually.
It's never
Um,
wrong.
no, it's never wrong. I also remember when they moved Festival of Friends out to Ancaster for a little while.
That was a mistake.
It seemed to be, yeah. But
I
hey,
don't mean like I don't mean you know, I just mean for me, I was like, oh, okay, I'm gonna have to make a big drive. Everybody's gonna have to make a big drive up there.
but I mean,
Who
hey,
knows
the
why it wasn't at Gage Park anymore? I think it was the city.
maybe, yeah.
Yeah.
But I mean, it was an okay venue. It just like you said, it was a drive. Um,
Yeah. And it
but
was
hey,
a drag to get stuck on 52 or whatever.
yeah.
Like
Um,
everybody was trying to park, so you're like, oh, never
but I
get
do
in there.
remember seeing the box and and Psychedelic Furs on the Friday night. So that wasn't a total. It was worth the drive for that.
Not a waste.
And the next night, Big Wreck was there, and Tom Wilson came out and jammed a Big Wreck of all people.
I love it.
Yeah, so they did know how to put a good show together, at least for the weekend. It's great that
Yeah.
it's back in Gage Park because I don't know, the downtown Hamilton vibe was just awesome. And how
Yeah.
do you not love that old band shell?
Yeah.
Like,
I mean, and the other thing about Hamilton, especially now more than ever, people that live there that have lit, that are born and raised there. I'm not talking about the people that have moved from elsewhere, like Toronto.
right,
There's this big influx of city people from Toronto that are all moving to Hamilton, and
right.
that's cool. But like these festivals, the festivals in Gage Park, that's for everyone. Like Supercrawl is on this weekend.
Yep,
That's for everyone in Hamilton. It's free. It's like these are the moments, and like the Ticats games, these are the moments when
yep,
everybody can come together and like all of our rough and tumbleness aside, as
yeah.
Hamiltonians, we all come together and go for the beautiful thing, whether it's music or football or whatever. But everybody comes together, and I just think like taking that festival and putting it in Ancaster took that away for a
It
bit,
did, yeah.
And I
Um,
think it's really important to have these positive moments in a city
yeah,
that is, everybody's struggling, but Hamilton specifically needs this,
it
you know?
does.
Yeah.
I grew up in Mississauga, but because of I told you I have a lot of roots in Hamilton too, because I spent
Yeah.
summers near there, and I've always felt Hamilton is almost like a secondary hometown to me
Yeah.
because I got to know it quite well, and I love the rough and tumbleness of Hamilton. I think it's great. Everybody I've ever known has been so proud to be there, be
Hmm.
from there, and live there, and I don't find anything wrong with that at all. You should
No.
be proud of your town. It is a great town.
I have one story. Russ Wilson from the band Junk House.
Mhm.
Do you remember Junk House?
Of course, Tom
Okay.
Wilson. Yeah.
So Russ passed last year, and my
Mhm.
husband and I went down to the funeral, and Tom Wilson and Thompson sang a song. It was like beautiful, and we're on the escarpment in this beautiful graveyard. And somebody at the very end lit off a firecracker. It was like, what is happening? So Hamilton. I've never seen anything more Hamilton.
Yeah.
Like, just like this beautiful service, and then somebody being like, I know what Russ would want. It's like this firecracker.
If that doesn't lighten up the mood, I don't know what does.
Oh man.
Like you said, it was something he probably would have wanted to.
Yeah, totally.
No, that's an
Yeah.
amazing story. No, I love Hamilton. I think it's a great city. I've spent so much time there, and like I said, I feel like it's an honorary secondary hometown. And the music that's like we talked about earlier, the music that's come out of that city is amazing, and you're a part of it. And um, it's great to see that. I'm hoping there's more music coming out of Hamilton like that.
There definitely is, and a lot of it's happening this weekend, probably at Supercrawl, which is great,
Oh, it's a great event. That's
Great
a
timing. I can't believe it's this weekend. I can't
thank.
I can't obviously go because I'm gonna come to see you in PEI, but
It's worth it. Trust me. Anyway, I can't thank you enough for joining me. It's been great to talk to you, and I'm
cool.
looking forward to seeing you here on PEI
Awesome.
playing the big Sommo Fest. All right.
Thanks, eh?
Thanks a lot. Thanks for joining me.
Bye.